What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And this is my Star Wars Return, or the Last Jedi review. I got these cool glasses from the people who do Real D 3D. They sent these to me, and I was supposed to watch the movie in 3D with them, and I haven't yet, but I plan to soon. But how cool are these glasses? But I think I'll watch my second watching of it in 3D. That said, thanks for sending me these. I'm going to do this video the same way I do all movie reviews. Number one, if I make a movie review, it's probably because I recommend it or I hate it. Probably I'm never going to do one for a mediocre film in the middle, right, that I don't care about. That said, I always do this part spoiler free and then part with spoilers. I might mention stuff that's in the trailer. So if you don't want any spoilers and have avoided the trailers, ignore this entire video till you see the movie. When I get into the spoiler section, though, I will move this poster right here. You see it? I'm going to move it over to here to let you know that means we are going into the spoiler section. That way, if you accidentally jump ahead in the movie or something, if you see the poster over here, don't listen to what I have to say. Run away, run away, run away. So let's talk about this movie a little bit here. For those of you who are wondering whether or not you should see whether I recommend it. I do recommend you see this film. I don't think you have to see it in opening weekend, though. There's no big spoilers, right? There's nothing like the spoiler for the 7th movie, which I won't even say, but there was a big moment there that's really freaky and scary. There's nothing like that in this film. It does advance the plot quite well, but not in a way that there's a big reveal like, Luke, I am your father, or, I know what I have to do. None of that. There are some really good, memorable moments and some really good quotes, though. And I think you will enjoy those moments. The movie's not perfect. It does bog down in a couple of points, but a lot of Star Wars films do. There's a lot of things that have me scratching my head as to even why they're in the film or why they wrote it that way, but that's true of every Star Wars film, right? None of them are perfect. We hold them in very high regard, especially the middle trilogy, the original 70s and 80s movies. But there are plot holes and issues there. And I always go back to, whenever I get frustrated by these plot holes, I say to myself, remember what Harrison Ford said to Mark Hamill on set. And Mark will tell the story at conventions every once in a while. Mark said they were on the set and getting ready to film a scene, and they're in the stormtrooper armor, I think. And Mark looks at Harrison and says, "Hey, shouldn't our hair be wet for this scene? Because in the last scene in the script, we were in the trash compactor scene where we get our hair wet. So we should have wet hair still." And Harrison Ford patted him on the shoulder and said, "It ain't that kind of movie, kid." Well, Star Wars is not meant to be that kind of movie. And I know that a lot of Star Wars fans are picking this movie to pieces, right? This is not as bad as the prequels. I think this is better than Rogue One. I definitely think it's better than number 7. It's certainly not as good as Empire, but nothing will ever be as good as Empire. They can make Star Wars movies till the end of time, and they won't make a movie as good or better than Empire. It's just not possible. It's stupid to try, right? They're all going to be individual things. That said, there's plenty to nitpick in this film. If you're one of the people that are going to nitpick stuff, you might want to wait until it comes out on home video. But it's definitely worth seeing. It's definitely one of the better Star Wars films, and I really, really enjoyed it. So that said, I think we will get into the spoiler section. I will say one last thing before we get into the spoiler section. The movie is very long. I was surprised at how long it was, and I really feel like there's a part of it they could cut out, and I'll talk about that in the spoiler section. So if you find yourself in the first act, maybe the second act. If you're in the second act and you're getting a little bored and you're like, oh, well, that's the part I'm talking about. And just know that's coming, but the end of the movie makes up for it. Don't walk out. Don't get frustrated. Don't even go to the restroom during the part. Just stick it out because it definitely picks up and gets pretty good. So let's get into the details of why other people don't like the movie, and I'll talk about what I don't like, and I'll talk about what I do like. Here we go. Spoilers, all kinds of spoilers, all those Star Wars spoilers coming to you. Okay. There's two things in this movie that frustrate me a little bit. The first is the entire Casino Planet story arc, which is an interesting story arc and has interesting characters, and I did enjoy the character Rose. I know a lot of people don't, and I'll talk about that. I really enjoyed developing Finn's character a little bit. I love the new guy. I don't know his name, but the new rogue scoundrel guy. I thought he did a really good job, and I really liked the actor who did it. Wasn't he from The Usual Suspects as well? I think that's the same guy. If it is, he's so good in this film. He's a really interesting character. I want to see more of him. I wish there had been more of him during the Casino story arc, but there was some fun stuff. I will say that the casino story arc did not feel like part of a Star Wars film to me. It felt like a film that took place in the Star Wars universe. It was an adventure piece, right? It didn't feel like an epic battle Star Wars. It didn't really tell much of the story that we're telling in the original trilogy or the previous trilogy. It kind of felt like a second movie slapped on top of the first movie. It really did. And it makes sense because there's 3 hours of runtime here. So there's a lot of movie to be had there. I felt like that could have even been sectioned out into something entirely different or removed. Now, I talked to a film critic by the name of Movie Bob on Twitter about it today, and he says that it was integral to the film, and it does definitely tie in to the end. I don't know that I agree. I feel they could have proved the exact same points and done the same character development more succinctly and at a different place and a different time. That said, I did enjoy seeing the Casino Planet, the horse monsters and stuff like that. But it seems like they just shoehorned in a lot there, and it just didn't really entertain me that much. That said, I think on rewatch, that'll be the part I fast forward through when I'm at home, if I ever fast forward at all. I do want to rewatch this movie, and I'll probably watch it in 3D since they sent me the glasses. But that said, I think I might go and refill my popcorn. Or I don't really do refreshments at the theater, but I might this time, just so I have something to do during that part of the scene. The second thing that really rubs me really wrong here is the light speed attack on the Dreadnought towards the end of the film. And obviously, from my understanding of that scene, she obviously pointed her ship towards the Dreadnought and then went into light speed and purposely had a collision, which then caused that Dreadnought to split into a ton of pieces, and those pieces blew up other ships as well. That did way more damage than I think it should have done. And also, based on established lore, I don't understand the physics of it. I don't know that that's possible in the Star Wars universe. And I because isn't there a Star Destroyer that keeps people from jumping into warp speed in the first trilogy? I'm pretty sure there is. So how does warp speed work? Does it bend space and time? The thing that keeps you from going into warp speed, is it a tractor beam? Does it just keep you from going fast? Is light speed going fast? Is it bending space and time? Obviously, like in Star Wars, they use like a navigation protocol to let you not accidentally run into a planet. I mean, Harrison Ford just straight up says that in the movies. I can't jump to warp speed, kid, because of the navigation system doesn't have it routed. We don't want to go through a planet. So I guess that kind of thing is possible. And I guess it's possible to have done that in this situation. But if it's possible, why don't they do it all the time? Why don't they just have a droid pilot a ship that has a warp speed engine in? And most ships do. All the little ships do. And they kamikaze into Star Destroyers all day. Why wouldn't the Rebels just do that? If it blows up an entire dreadnought with a large ship, it could probably kill a Star Destroyer, or certainly severely damage a Star Destroyer, with just one X-Wing, or Y-Wing, or whatever. Just one of those slamming into the side of a Star Destroyer at light speed apparently destroys everything. And if maybe they'll start doing that here moving forward. Maybe that's just the way the Rebels are going to fight from here on out. But if that was possible, someone would have figured it out during these hundreds of years of war. So, I don't know. I felt like that was just kind of a thing they really shouldn't have put in there. Also, they have like ships that are designed to hammer. They have hammer ships in the last film, right? I think it was the last film, or maybe it's the prequels. I don't remember where the hammer ships are, but they were designed to hammer away at normal speed. Why don't those have warp speed engines on them? I don't get it. That really threw me out of the moment. Other than that, those are the only two things I did not like. A lot of people don't like Rose as a character. I love the concept of Rove, and I thought it was executed well. She's supposed to be the Star Wars fan. And she's supposed to represent you and us, and we're supposed to like her very, very much. And I'm sure most of the ladies in the audience certainly did, and I certainly did. I know there's some people that don't like whatever about her, but she has one of the best lines of the film. And this film has so many good moments. This film has so many quotable lines. And yes, there's some junk in between it, but that's okay. And the end of this movie is really, really solid. Not the very, very tail end, but once Luke shows up on the Salt Planet, wow, that's good. Like, I was just so impressed with the acting, and Kylo Ren's acting when he's screaming, more, more, more. Oh my God, I loved it. I can't wait to see that part again. It just sent chills down my spine. I had goosebumps. It was so good. That's what I like in my Star Wars movies. But Rose has the line, I saved you. That's how we're going to win. Not destroying the things we hate, but by saving the things we love. That's so Star Wars. That's such a good scene. It's such a good line. That's the kind of stuff that sticks with me for the rest of my life. It's not the best line in the movie. The best line in the movie, in my opinion, and maybe it's because of the position I am in my life and the life I've had, was let the past die. Kill it if you have to. That's the only way to become the person you're meant to be. And that's interesting because that's a bad guy saying that. And it's a Sith saying that. And only a Sith deals in absolutes, right? But it sounds like good advice to me right now. And so it makes me wonder, am I leaning towards the light? Am I leaning to the dark? It's philosophical. It's interesting. It's a great line. It's fascinating. And it's good. That, all the fluffy stuff like that aside, the fight scenes were incredible. Most specifically in Snoke's chamber when they're battling the dudes in the red armor. I forget what those are called, Royal Guards or something like that. They're using like chain swords, which I don't think I've seen before. That was interesting to me. But that's one of the things I always wanted when I wanted to see two Jedis fighting side by side. The choreography was good. Again, the choreography again in this film is so different from the prequels and so similar to the first three movies. It's people trying to hack each other to death with laser swords, right? I mean, there's the scene where Mark Hamill's character kind of does that Yoda flopping around using the Force thing, which is, you know, the overly choreographed stuff, but it's very short. But for the most part, these characters are relatively untrained, and they're just trying to murder each other using the weapons they have. And when they're fighting the guards are clearly very trained, so they have to do some interesting stuff to protect themselves. But I really want to see that fight scene again. I felt like it was too short, but it was, the CGI on it was incredible. The acting on it was incredible. It just, that's one of the most memorable moments. And it does not compare well to the stuff on the Casino Planet, which is interesting and fun, but it felt like a completely different film, layered on top of the other. I might have already said this, but it felt like a completely different film, two films cut together. Maybe you had the casino stuff all that happened at once, and then back to the stuff that's happening with the Rebels. But I don't know. Either way, the casino stuff just didn't settle well with me. But I still loved developing Finn. I love the new guy. I love Rose. I think they're all great characters. I would say that I know this movie is supposed to mirror Empire in some ways because obviously it's supposed to be dark and it's supposed to be the rebels losing and getting reborn, and it's loss after loss after loss after loss. It doesn't compare to Empire because Empire, it was only filled with the important losses and only filled with the important things. There's a lot of losses here that are almost superfluous and don't really feel like part of the story. That I don't like. I love the dark themes, and I love the cool stuff. And even the stuff that they put in there for the kids, like the crystal critters and the porg and stuff, they weren't annoying. They weren't frustrating. It didn't bother me like Jar Jar. It didn't bother me like Ewoks did. I enjoyed them. The crystal critters were very pretty, and I liked the sound they made when they moved, and the porgs were very emotive and funny, and the droids and the porgs and even the crystal critters to some extent added this comic relief, so you didn't have to have any of your main characters acting like an idiot for comic relief. Which is very different from the seventh movie, because the seventh movie, sometimes people just said and did stupid shit for the purposes of, well, this will make the audience laugh and cut the tension. Instead, they have the droids do that. Instead, they have the creatures do that. And I think that's how it should be, because this is a very serious movie. Empire didn't have a lot of that. And I think that's one of the things that makes this movie feel a little less light, a little more light, a little less impactful. And that's frustrating. Still, that said, the scenes that are impactful are incredible. And I'll go over, I think, my favorite scenes here. Certainly the battle on the Salt Planet, the entire thing. It's beautiful. I kind of rubbed me wrong that the ships work the way that they do. I don't know why they have to kick up the red dust, but it looked freaking cool. That's why they wrote it that way. I don't know what ships were supposed to do otherwise, but they looked great. But we have hover ships, so why is that a thing? I don't know. But the entire thing, and Kylo Ren's acting there is incredible, and Luke looked incredible, and Leia looked incredible. The fight scene between Luke and Kylo Ren is incredible. The fight scene with Rey and Kylo killing Snoke and fighting the guards was absolutely incredible. Those are the absolutely most memorable moments of the film for me. Another thing that a lot of people complained about and really screwed with me was watching Leia use the Force in this film and use it to save herself when she got pulled out into space. it looked really awkward and weird. It didn't seem like, I don't know, somebody said Leia Poppins, like she was Mary Poppins. It's what it looked like. It looked like she was on wires and stuff. It didn't set well with me, which is really sad because I don't want to say anything bad about Carrie Fisher. Her acting wasn't bad there. She did an incredible job in this film, and it's sad that it's her final film. I'm surprised that they didn't find a way to kill her off, but they said they didn't want to CGI her or anything like that, which is respectable. I would have been okay with a CGI death scene for her or something like that. I thought they were going to kill her off right at the beginning of the movie, which obviously they didn't. But that whole flying back to the ship with her hand extended, and it just didn't look like something the Force was doing. It looked like old shitty special effects. So that's probably, I think if they could have fixed any scene, I would have cut the casino story arc entirely, or made it different in some way. I don't know how. And obviously it does tie in towards the end of the film, and it does tie in very, very well with the kid, with the rebel ring, the whole 9 yards. Love that part of it. Could have done it more succinctly and done it a little better, I think. But if I was going to cut anything from that, it would be the scene where Leia uses the Force, because they just didn't. I would refilm it. I wouldn't cut it. I'd refilm it. But overall, I think I really, really enjoyed this movie. I look forward to watching it a second time. I will probably watch it in 3D at the theater when I do. And then I'm definitely going to buy it when I get it home, and I'll watch it here. I've only watched episode 7, I think, 3 times at this point. So I think this one I'll probably get 3 watches out of as well. Lord knows I've seen Empire 20 times. I've seen Return of the Jedi just 3 or 4. And the original Star Wars, I think I watched 5 or 6. And I've only ever watched the prequels once in the theater, and then once again here at home with my wife, just so she could finally see what all the fuss was. And she didn't think they were that bad, which is cool. That said, go see this movie. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know what scenes were frustrating for you. And guys, of course, be careful in the spoiler section. Mark your spoilers in the comment section. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much. I'll speak with you again soon.